They're stealing your future from you. You are being robbed blind. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Michael Voris Show. I'm your host, Michael Voris. Today, I'd like to talk something about most people probably don't really think that much about. They're aware of it, and then they just sort of move on. But for a certain select group of people, we're talking specifically younger folks, 35-ish, early 30s and younger, this is a really big deal, or at least pretends to be a really big deal down the road, even though they might not think of that right now. We're talking about the American dream, where you own your own home. This is becoming something that is becoming more and more out of reach for people who are young. It's been very tough sort of along the way as it is, but trying to buy a house today in the Biden economy and all of the underpinnings that support that disaster, that socialist disaster, look, you really got to understand. So let's do a little bit of basic economics. But first, before I do, just want to give a little plug to our Strength and Honor Conference for men, first weekend of August 4th through the 6th here in Detroit. Click on that link, sign up. Guys, it's always a good time. We always have a couple, 300 guys here. There's a lot of bonding and brotherhood and seriousness, along with a lot of food, and an also awful lot of faith predominantly. So it's the Strength and Honor Conference, the Men's Conference, annual conference for Church Militant right here in Detroit. Click on the link. Make your reservation. So how does the whole economic thing work? Okay, there's probably a number of young guys watching this right now who, for a number of reasons, may not know exactly what the process is for buying a house. What do you do? How much do you put down? How does it work? How do you have to qualify? All of these things that for decades and decades and decades and decades, back to before World War II even, were just sort of staples of the average American life. And everybody understood them. It was transmitted from one generation to another. Basic, like home economics. That used to be a class in high school, years and years ago, decades ago even. How to balance a checkbook, how to manage your money. The socialist economy doesn't give a crap about you. They want you to mismanage your money. They want you in debt. They want you spending money on frivolous things so that you can never really advance. Understand what socialism is, because socialism, the policies that are in effect are socialistic. It's to keep you down. That's the point. So financial stability and financial advancement are keys to being kept not down. So the way it used to work is you buy a house, small-ish house. You're young. You may not even be married at that point, but if you are, there's only two of you. And maybe a baby comes along in the first year or two, whatever the situation is. But again, it's a baby. It's like this big. It doesn't need its own room with hundreds of toys and chairs and furniture and TVs and all that sort of stuff. None of that stuff starts for years later. But okay, so young guys buy a house. So how does it work? Well, the banks, who you get the mortgages from, or mortgage companies, use a formula to figure out how much of a house you can afford. Here's the secret to the formula, that the mortgage amount plus whatever the monthly mortgage amount, plus whatever the property taxes are, plus whatever the insurance is that you have to have on the house, and you add that number up. That number cannot be higher than 28% of your gross monthly income. So you figure out what's your gross monthly income, what's 28% of that, and the cost of your housing cannot exceed that. That's how the bank will do it. There's nothing about you being nice. They don't want to see your resume about how you helped, various groups when you were in high school and, you were a star athlete. They don't care. They care, can you make the payment, because it's their money that's on the line there. 28%. Then when you take all of your other debt, credit cards, student loans, and this is where you hate the student loans, and it's a ruse that you have been screwed over, your guys' last couple generations, about this whole student loan thing. Student loans, car payments, you add all of that up, and then you add it to your monthly house payment, and that number cannot exceed 33% of your gross monthly income. So if you're sitting there at home right now and you're under, say, 35, while you're doing this, heck, just hit pause for a second, do the math on this, because that's how the bank's going to determine whether you can buy a house or not. This is one reason lots of young people still live at home. And why it's a real mystery why young people would continue to vote into office people who create an economic situation that screws them over. You are voting against your own future. You are voting to not be independent. You are voting to be controlled by a state that wants you not moving up, not advancing. Why do so many young people vote for these people? Vote for these candidates. They're Marxists, they're communists, they're socialists. I know they sell you a great big huge bill of goods, but consider this. Here's a little statistic for you. When you account for inflation, a home today is more than double the price of a home in 1965. And yet, at the same time, accounting for inflation, wages, what you get paid, has only increased a miserable 15%. That just puts you out of contention for being able to buy a home.
Because every old person in a city like LA or New York or London is the same. They're like, my house is worth $2 million, but when I bought it in 1981, I paid 11 raspberries for it.
When you are trying to become a self-sufficient young man and grow into manhood, things like this, you need help from, because of the way the system is set up. You don't agree with it, but it's the way the system is set up. Therefore, you need help. You need help in the form of government policies that encourage you to be independent. You need help in the form of government policies which don't rob you blind in taxes. You need help in the form of government policies locally or regionally where property taxes are kept down so you can afford a house. And you need to be thinking about all of this stuff. You go out and yell and pound on the drums about purple hair and human rights and social justice. And what, you're going to keep doing that, playing video games in your folks' basement for the rest of your life? Thank you for watching The Michael Voris Show. If you'd like to watch the entire episode, please head over to churchmilton.com and sign up as a premium member. If you need to sign up to become a premium member, go to churchmilton.com/Go Premium.